Ohio gozaimasu. Good morning, world. Coming to you from the East Coast. The East Coast with the love of the most. We're actually sitting somewhere really cool. It's got love behind us, of all words. You'll see it on the quick little video right here. But in a little coffee shop. We're going to bring this podcast to you, man. We've been working on getting this podcast together for a long time, bro. Like a year or something like that? Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long time coming, as they like to say. But, hey, I'm still Cam, and this is still the Real Resilience Talk podcast. I'm going to try to back up a little bit so my P's don't be too loud because I know I'll be blowing out people's speakers with my big mouth. This man knows I never use my inside voice, right? But I'm still Cam. This is still the Real Resilience Talk podcast, and we are still sponsored by Nobody, baby. Now, please understand that this is no reflection of or endorsement from or endorsement of any official organization to include any branch of service or the Department of Defense. We may reference things that we've experienced in those spaces, but we are not implying an endorsement from them or for them or anything of that nature. These are just two card-carrying American citizens using their First Amendment and trying to use it for good, okay? And I thought I almost just got in trouble with this coffee shop for playing this music real loud in here because y'all know I'm not that good of a producer, so I just put the phone up to it to play the intro song, and I was like, man, I wonder if they're going to get offended, but I was like, you know what, man? You know how the people stood in this line, they don't turn their reels down? Like, why is everybody always got to turn their reels up so loud when they stand in the line, man? What is up with that? Anyway, I digress, as usual. I'm still Cam, still here to talk about the Real Resilience Talk, keeping it real because I really do feel if we're ever going to get anywhere on this subject, we have got to keep it real. No squishy balls, no acronyms, no PowerPoints. Those things have their place and they're well intended by a lot of good people. But if we really want to get somewhere, we got to be fucking real about this. So you may hear some bad words on this. I'm just going to let you know. But I hope you'll hear some good words too, right? So please, continue to listen, continue to share it if you like it or whatever like that. I don't make no money off this. I'll never do no ads. This is all just totally non-profit heart work, as Coach Chan said. Not hard work, heart work. So that's what we're trying to do and reach people on the subject of resilience. Is that something that we all deal with. So without further ado, he's been sitting over here like, damn, dude, I came on your show in 2 minutes in. You just run your fat mouth. And I'm like, yes, I am. Because I got a CYA cover my ass, right? Yeah. But our guest today is a good friend of mine, man, a guy I really respect, admire, I've gotten to know through some quality time spent together. Just a good dude, man, a humble servant to humanity. That's how I think of him, and a warrior of it. I'm here with Doc Coop, man. Doc Coop, and this is episode 47. Everybody clap it up for Doc Coop. Hey, there he is. He's here, man. We're in this coffee shop together in the back looking weird. Some people looking over here like, are they doing something official? What is this? Are they canceling us? Are they doing a documentary? Not at all. We got nothing but love for y'all. But anyway, Doc Coop is here. Y'all have heard my definition of resilience. I'm going to just kick it off, man, and just say, what is resilience to you, my friend?
So thanks for having me on.
Always, bro.
I'm really excited. I've been thinking about this for a few days, and I think a lot of people would say, it's that ability to get back up and get back into the fight. I think that's great, but I think there's another component to it a lot of people don't talk about. So I grew up in Baton Rouge in Louisiana.
Baton Rouge.
Yes, and we lived through Katrina while I was down there. And one thing you see in Louisiana folk is they will get just completely destroyed by a hurricane and then get back up, rebuild, and a year or two later, they get just completely knocked down again. And so with resilience, I think that is the definition of a type of resilience, right? But I think true resilience is the ability to know, okay, I've gotten back up, I've tried again, but maybe let me change my circumstances, or let me get some help from somebody. It's that ability and that strength to recognize that maybe you can't do it on your own.
Man, that's real. Because you do hear that often, like to get back up, and shout out to all of those who have suffered through these storms of these last few years, and especially I got a lot of friends and family that, a lot of close Marine family that got definitely impacted and affected by Hurricane Katrina, and there's been many more after, and sadness is there'll be more to come, but they'll continue to get up. But we often think of it as just as a you thing, like Coop got knocked down, he got back up, but you, my friend, and I love this, and I hope everybody heard him say it, emphasized and spoke to the point of sometimes you got to look at the situation and assess and realize I got to get back up, but I might need somebody's help in doing so.
Yeah.
That's, man, like, I don't know if we think about it enough, because it's just like Rocky and Apollo, like, I got to get up, man. I got to get up. Okay, great. But sometimes you need to be able to have the judgment encouraged to say, I need some help getting up too. That's still resilience.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to have that conversation with yourself, because I think a lot of the time it's like working out, right? Like if you're working out and you're constantly injuring yourself, you're probably doing something wrong. And you've probably made that a habit over time. And I think it's the same with your mental health. You can fall into these patterns where you have these harmful thought patterns that, you might think they're normal, but they ain't normal. And your way of coping with that may not be the best. And so having that outside person come in and be like, hey man, your form's off. Your mental form is off.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah.
That's so, because think about that, like,
Yeah.
like squats, for instance, or, press or anything like that. Like if you're not doing exercise wrong or right, you're doing it wrong. And over time, that's going to lead to injury. You think about that metaphor. That's
right. And I think I've done that in my own life, man. Like I think one of the things that's been hardest for me to struggle with and to come to terms with is I'm a uncompromising people person, and that's got me to where I am today. But I think taking a step back for me looked like, okay, supporting other people is great, but I got to support myself too. And I think having that hard conversation with yourself and getting somebody like a therapist or just a friend to give you that like 30,000 foot view, like, look man, like you're doing great, I'm really proud of you, but let's adjust your form here. I think is so important.
I think, and that's so much, it's so well said, because it's not as aggressive either. Like, hey bro, I'm not saying you suck at working out. I'm not saying that you suck at exercising, ma'am. I'm saying, like, you need to fix your form, or eventually you're going to hurt yourself, because you may be able to take this right now in this moment, but over time, that's the thing too. Over time, I just heard Alex Hermoso. I love this guy, but he was talking about success, and people are like, yo, you're not successful. And he's like, well, you're measuring it by days and by months and years. I'm measuring success by decades. However, same pendulum on that subject. It can go to the other side of the spectrum, and you can measure failure in the same way.
Yep.
And that's where those brick by brick, repetition by repetition reps add up for good or for bad. And if you got bad form, you may not have never been shown, metaphorically, how to do a proper squat, how to do a proper deadlift, how to do a proper clean. And you might not even know what anybody's talking about. And you just like, you see a workout and you're like, cleans, what's that? And you look at a bad YouTube video, a bad one, and you start doing the wrong way. That's the same as with our own lives when we go through things. If you knew of a certain way or habit or coping mechanism that's not healthy, well, when you get hit with stress or you get hit with something, you're going to seek that one, but that's a bad form.
Yep.
Man, that's brilliant.
And that kind of thing gets passed on to you too, like
from where?
I think my biggest influence was my parents. So I look up to my parents so much, and they got me through a lot of stuff. I think one sort of hard realization I came to was they're from a generation that doesn't really talk about this stuff, and they've over time they've kind of been a lot more open about talking about mental health and their own journeys, but. When I was growing up, this is not like a conversation we would just have openly, right? And
no, hell no.
Yeah.
Hell no. What you solved?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Sissy? I'm just screwing a little forward.
Oh, no worries.
No, we're good. Yeah, sorry.
And I think realizing that, hey, like the way that they got through life and they struggled with things and they overcame things maybe isn't the best way for me. Because when you're growing up, you look to the people around you as a example of, not just resilience, but how to get through life and how to deal with problems and relationships. And, a really great example, my wife's family does not talk about anything, but that's the way they handle it. And, I came in, met my wife, and like we had a lot of long talks about how we were going to handle stuff in our relationship. And just like working out, growth means some uncomfortability and some pain, but in the long run, you're going to be happier and stronger because of it. And I think it's just important to look at the way that you're maybe attacking some of these problems and realize, hey, this might not be the best.
Yeah.
Like, let me try and find some healthier coping mechanisms, or let me try and find some ways to talk about how I'm feeling, or the things I'm going through, that will be better heard,
right,
than the way I might do it instinctually.
Yeah. What are some of those in your, I know that you are a servant to the humans of the world, and you have a passion for helping people. And I know you talked to a lot of people and what they've done or how they've used to cope or not. What are some of the best ways and worst ways you yourself or those or people you've talked to have been able to be resilient through things and to be able to, in a healthy way, seek discomfort? Because a certain level of discomfort with time to recover creates growth and strength. But that's not always an option for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the healthiest ways I've seen are the ones that like foster connection with other people, while at the same time give you a sense of purpose and strength and belonging, right? So one of the examples I'll use that came to mind, I was talking to a Marine in 29 Palms who, he was put out there in the middle of the desert. It was his first duty station, and he was just really struggling. Like, and all his friends just wanted to drink,
right?
Because there's nothing else to do here.
Yeah, and he wasn't into it, and so he came from a family where they were really big into animals, and so he did some searching around and found out that there was a equestrian farm nearby, and so he started volunteering there. Like every weekend he would go, and it wasn't just working with the animals there, it was like working with the people and building those connections. And he said it got him through some really dark times, and I think that kind of connection where you can reach out, you can be real with other people, like we're being real right now,
right? Yeah.
But also kind of engage in something that gives you that sense of connectedness or that sense of purpose. Like, I think those are probably the most successful. That
makes sense too, as far as the example you just said. And for anybody, I know we got friends and family and listeners in the 29 Palms area. You said equestrian.
Yeah. It's
I'm
like
gonna mess that word up. Y'all know me, dog. Him don't do words good.
Yeah. It's a horse farm, basically.
Horse farm.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But he looked that up. He took the initiative to look something up.
Yep.
But listen to this too, what he's saying. And I know y'all probably have already cued in on this if you know me. What I do with this show, yes, the whole goal of it is to help someone else. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I get helped a whole lot too, because I get to speak with people that I highly respect and admire or know or love or whatever the case may be, or all of the above, and I get to learn from them while being connected to something that is bigger than me, which is trying to share something for someone else, the public, use our First Amendment in a good way. Instead of just reposting hateful shit or making shitty comments on social media and mean things, we're actually trying to do something fucking good. And I might cuss when I say it, but I promise it's for fucking good. But I digress, as usual. Literally, I have a plaque that says, my rank, I digress, Cam. Like, that was my call sign, I digress. All right, but what I'm getting at is the purpose is connected. It's bigger than us. And that's spiritual in a sense in itself, because we are serving something that's bigger than us. And it could be faith, it could be religion, it could be whatever. But in going to work with those animals, that's something that individual cares about. That's something that individual enjoys, right? Learning skills from them that he may have not known before going over there and working with other people that are into the same thing. They have a shared cause of caring for animals, but in doing so, they care for each other, and they have that social connectedness that humans, I don't care if you're an introvert or if you just don't like people, you still need people.
Well, yeah, and I think the thing that stuck out to me the most about that story was that it was some ingenuity there, right?
Yeah.
Like, it was a solution that he sought out on his own, and he knew himself and what would give him the most fulfillment. And so it's not something that you're going to find on the Marine Corps website, right? Like,
nobody's going to send it to you in your email, right?
Yeah, and nobody's going to think, oh, hey, you should go volunteer here. But I think that when you actually make an effort to try and find something, like, you know yourself the best. You know what is going to, like, make you happy and fill your cup the best. And when you put that effort in to try and find something, I mean, you know, the people in 29 Palms, I get it. I've been there. It looks like the surface of the damn moon. Like, I do understand. But also, you know, coming up with those kind of unique solutions and thinking about, hey, like, in the past, I really enjoyed working with animals. Is there anything around here? Like, thinking about the time where you had the most fulfillment and purpose, and trying to not just replicate that, but try and make it something that, you know, you can offer to other people, I think is huge. I'll give another example.
Please keep on, because some people, we don't know.
Yeah.
And people just don't know. Some people go, well, yeah, man, I don't know what I like. I don't even know. I just been busy working and getting through life and stuff. I don't even know. I ain't got time to worry about what I like, and I respect that. But he's trying to provide, maybe this is an option. Maybe you ain't never worked with animals. You actually work with animals, and you realize, oh, shit, I like working with animals. And it's some new shit for you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't want to cut you off. Please provide more examples, because people need to know.
No, I was in Japan. I was talking to some folks out there, and I was talking to this Marine. It was her first duty station as well, out there in Okinawa, or Iwakuni, I forget. And anyway, she says, you know, hey, like, I was so uncomfortable with the cultural barrier and the language barrier. Like, I was really afraid just driving off base. And so, you know, in this discussion, somebody else piped up, was like, oh yeah, I've like never really left base before. And they kind of started talking, and what the first individual said was, when she got to Okinawa, the first thing she did was drive in a straight line. She knew that if she could leave base, make a right, and just never turn off that main road, she could turn around and come back and find her way back. And so, kind of,
damn, that's some land now. I'm gonna keep a note of that.
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah,
I always get lost. All right, stay straight, just one right,
stay straight. But and it's a really simple thing, but that piece of advice, I think, is really kind of represents what I'm trying to get at. Is like, it's that idea that if you can take a small step and continue to take small steps over time, I think those small steps add up to a really big step. And so, you know, and in that conversation, those two kind of got together, and they were like, oh yeah, like, let me bring you out. I'll help you get used to the island and navigating and all that. But I think finding out, okay, like, I might not be comfortable. Like, I just got to Japan, or I just got to Korea, or whatever. I might not be comfortable, like, you know, going out on the city on my own. But hey, maybe I can find somebody who is. Or hey, like, I used to really love fishing back in the day, and, you know, I'd love to get back into that out here.
Yeah.
Can I find a club? Can I find somebody who can bring me or go with me and just connect over it?
Yeah.
I was talking to some other guys in Okinawa, and they were really big into surfing, and they said, you know, the surfing in Okinawa is not great, but they went anyway just for fun. And you know, one day they're out on the water, and they see somebody struggling to swim, and so they rush out there and save the guy from drowning. And,
oh shit!
Like, it was in the newspapers. And anyway, the moral of that story was, like, had they not, you know, at least tried, maybe somebody would have lost a life.
That's deep. That's deep. You don't know what that butterfly effect's going to be like. They just went out to mess around with the you know, subpar waves and to surf, but they wound up saving a life because they happened to be there that day. And it takes effort, and that takes initiative to take the initiative and take the risk to learn something new. Yeah,
it does. And then after everybody heard about that, a bunch of people wanted to join this, you know, impromptu surf club they had going.
Look at that.
And
humans.
So, yeah. You know, I didn't really know I liked boxing until I started going, and that took somebody telling me, like, hey, you should check it out. I think you'd really like it. Like, it's not something I would have ever considered on my own. And
never been exposed to, never was like, oh, my uncle was a boxing coach, and he taught me. And no, you're not Floyd Mayweather. You didn't have that uncle, right?
No.
but you took a risk. Somebody told you, and you were open to it, and you tried it. Yeah. And now it's an outlet for you, right?
Yeah.
Call it a distraction, call it a hobby, call it whatever you want. Call it maybe just putting your energy and effort into something healthy. Because, and I have it written right here, there's a poem I wrote in Japan, and I was trying to talk about healthy outlets and seeking them. And I have it right here, and I'll just read the first line. It says, be careful with what you use to take the edge off, because it may just lead to you taking your own head off. I'll just say that one line.
Yep.
And that's literally true, because so many people, to include myself, for years was like, I drank. That's what I do. When I'm happy, I drank. When I'm sad, I drank, or whatever. Fill in the blank on, I'm not just, this isn't like an alcohol-free thing or anything. I'm not trying to start prohibition. That shit led to NASCAR and gangster movies. We both know that.
Yep.
But for so many people, that's the only thing they choose to do. And when they are in that stupid state and they're in that intoxicated state, which for most of us, all the humans that you spoke to are Marines or warriors of some nature. Yeah. So it means we're a little much, a little excessive, a little impulsive anyway, because or else we wouldn't be in the line of work that we chose to do to serve. So we may be more prone to turn it up a little bit. Turn down for what? We only know to go 60 miles an hour, a lot of us, right? So my whole point being there is when they're in that state of they had too much or more than they should have, bad choices start feeling like good choices. So what they initially started doing that day or that night or whatever it was to take the edge off literally leads to them taking their own head off, because I'm telling you, over 50% of the death by suicides happen in our armed forces because of a broken relationship, leads to drunkenness, and then can lead to having access to lethal means and people taking their own life in a moment of vulnerability, in a moment of, obviously rage or whatever they're going through. No way to dismiss their feelings, but their judgment is off because they are so impaired of thinking, because they're dealing with a lot of stress. And then on top of that, they tried to self-medicate with such a substance that makes you more impulsive, more prone to not make good decisions. And that lizard brain takes over, right? That limbic system. And you go, boom, and you make a split-second decision. And you can come back from a lot of things, folks, but bullets aren't, it's not, your odds aren't good, right? So, you can look at like, what's it, Kevin Haynes, I think his name is, jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and survived. Yeah. And he said that, before he let go, everything in his life he felt like was not fixable until he let go. And he realized everything in my life is fixable except for the fact that I just let go. And there's so many people that as soon as they make an attempt, they regret it the moment they do it. I'm just saying, if you use certain means, and I know I just went a dark way there, but I want to get that message out there of how important it is of what you're saying, because if all you know is to get fucked up and to just drink and to binge drink at that, right, which is what, 3 or more is a binge drinking session, yeah. And which, let's be honest, most motherfuckers having 3 or more in time, they lying, right? You can make that permanent decision over a temporary circumstance. Last time I checked, all of this shit is temporary. I know so many people that got divorced, maybe, don't live with their kids they had before. They're remarried now. They're in a different relationship. They either get their kids back or they have a blended family. But like that tragedy, that thing that felt like it was going to last forever, it passed, and now they're in a better place. I know I just said a lot there, but I want to make sure people understand how important and imperative it is for us to get those healthy outlets, because we can use things to take the edge off, but it can lead to us taking our own fucking head off. And I'm tired of losing people.
Oh yeah, man, I'm right there with you. And I think the thing a lot of people don't understand is just how important those 3 things you mentioned are. And we talk about like, oh, you should lock up your gun. You should practice safe storage, all that. I think people don't really understand how impactful that can be. So the best explanation I ever heard of safe storage was its strategic inconvenience.
Y'all heard that? Strategic inconvenience. And I think you're getting to that whole delay and distract, right?
Yeah, so it's this idea that people are less likely to try and take their own life if you make it inconvenient, just like anything else. Like if you put the bar at the top of the mountain, probably very few people are going to make that hike up there to get shit-faced, right? And it's the same thing. If you put barriers in between, somebody and their firearm, or somebody and whatever other lethal mean they have access to, you're increasing the time and space and the ability for them to think about that decision. So many of the suicides we look at in our armed forces are just spur of the moment decisions that are rash, unplanned, and they can't take them back.
But it feels like the best decision at that moment.
Yeah, exactly. And so many things get them to that point. And, you know, we can talk about those all day long. But I think if we start talking about, hey, like, you know, I think everybody who's ever struggled with mental health has probably had those impulsive thoughts, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that idea, oh, man, like, what would it be like to, like, drive off this bridge right now? Or, like, what would it be like to drive into oncoming traffic? Like, it's that impulsiveness, but when you're intoxicated, like the parts of your brain that inhibit your impulsive actions are you know, less able to kind of kick in, and so then, you know, you're at much higher risk for actually attempting when you're intoxicated, and that's why we see so many deaths by suicide in individuals who've been drinking. I mean, it is. You know, alcohol is known throughout the ages as something that will make you do things that you wouldn't normally do, and that extends to suicide as well.
So it's not like a causation, but it's damn sure a correlation, y'all.
Yeah,
damn
absolutely.
sure a correlation. And you know what? I'm sorry, because I got 25 minutes into this, and this man didn't just read this shit on Reddit or Google it like I did, right? Or listen to some podcast with Alex Ramoso. What's your background, man? What's your background? He said Baton Rouge is where you're from, but what's your background, and how do you know so much about these subjects that we're talking about? Because this is going to blow y'all's motherfucking mind right now, okay?
So I'm a neuroscientist by training.
Neuroscientist?
Yeah. So I did my PhD in neuroscience out at Brigham Young University in Utah. And I got into this because most of my family served in some way. You know, my aunts, uncles, my dad was Army, my grandparents. And so I'd been kind of steeped in military culture for a while. And I remember when I took my first undergrad psych course, we started talking about this new thing called traumatic brain injury that they were finding out was really...
You dated yourself. He's pretty old, y'all, so it's just a new thing then.
Yeah,
so.
this new thing. I mean, this was like circa 2010, like...
And it was a new
2010s,
thing.
right? It was new, but it wasn't new.
Yeah, right.
And so, you know, they were talking about, oh, hey, like, we're noticing a lot of OEF, OIF veterans have brain injuries. And I just got so intrigued because the symptoms they were describing, I could see, like, in my own family members. And I wondered, hey, maybe they had some undiagnosed injuries going on. And then the thing that really blew my mind was this idea that you could use a giant magnet, MRI machine, to scan somebody's brain, measure their brain tissue, and see, you know, where the damage was. Mm-hmm. And so from then on, my kind of one passion was, hey, let's use this incredible technology and try and find some sort of treatment or you know, preventative mechanism that we can employ to help those service members. So I went out to Utah. You know, shout out to my lab there, but
shout out lab, Utah lab. Shout out. And lit the thicket from episode 45. Okay, yeah, 44.
I was really fortunate there to have some really great mentors, and I worked under Dr. Aaron Bigler there and Dr. Lisa Wild, and they're, you know, forefront in the field. And I worked between BYU and the University of Utah, and I scanned, I don't know, a couple hundred brains while I was out there. And I used some data from this.
Were these like alive brains? People?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. These are live brains.
And they
just veterans who came in and wanted to help science.
Got it. Go ahead.
Yeah.
The ethical study. Okay.
Yeah. So I worked with the Salt Lake City VA hospital for a while. And my dissertation research looked at whether blast injuries, so not just the ones where you, like, you know, bang your head in a car crash. These are the injuries where you're, you know, breaching a door and there's a explosion that goes off that kind of rattles you, or, like, you know, you're next to an IED and you get blown back, kind of thing. Whether or not those brain injuries caused more significant or different types of brain damage than, you know, a traditional brain injury where you, like, knock your head in a car wreck. Okay. And so my dissertation used data from 900 military veterans, and that was just incredibly rewarding and really still fostered this passion to serve. And after I finished my degree, I came out to Virginia and have been working with our armed forces out here in the Northern Virginia area.
The National Capital Region, the
NCR.
the DMVVA,
yes,
baby.
Yes.
Sorry. That was so corny.
Yeah. So I never would have expected that my career would have brought me to where I am now. But I've seen, kind of looking back in retrospect, I've seen how it's led me here. That brain injury research, I don't think we talk about it enough. It's really highly tied in with suicide and mental health.
Yeah. How so?
So when you're
not a direct causation, but damn sure a correlation. Kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So the thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that brains are like Jell-O. They're not something like you can touch your arm and it bounces back, right? It is a really, if you've ever held a brain, it will literally sink into your hands, just like Jell-O. And so that's why we have a thick skull. That's why there's fluid that suspends it and is meant to kind of try and soften the blows of any impacts that happen. But what happens when we have a strong blow to the head, or we're close to a explosive blast, is your brain will literally twist and shear. There's these rotational forces that it will twist itself. And when it twists, it breaks those neurons, those axons of the neurons. If you're picturing, like if you've ever taken a science class and you've seen the picture of the neuron, it's a long skinny thing with two heads on either side. That middle part, the axon, will break, and those proteins will kind of just float around in your brain and then stick to brain tissue and start to kill it. And that's where we have chronic traumatic encephalopathy that you may have heard of, CTE, happening in our NFL athletes. But the thing that a lot of people don't realize is it doesn't actually, a lot of the time it doesn't actually result in something that you can pick up on an MRI scan. Okay. So you might have had a brain injury and you might have maybe hit your head and had symptoms for 20, 30 minutes. That's a mild traumatic brain injury. And even those mild injuries, they can cause these microscopic injuries in your brain tissue, and those injuries can follow you throughout your life.
And what does it lead to, though? So I got some bruises on my brain kind of thing. I got some calcification. I got some protein. Whey protein is good for me, though, bro. I work out.
I know, right? So you can have issues with your cognitive function. So if you've ever heard people talk about the COVID brain fog from brain injuries is also a thing where you just kind of feel like you can't fully function. There's just this kind of wet blanket over your mind, right? You can't think straight. You can have memory problems, attention problems. Shout out to my ADHD people out there.
I put the high definition of ADHD,
exactly.
y'all.
Yeah, you can have attention problems. You can have mental health problems. There's some really famous cases of really severe brain injuries where people survive these really traumatic injuries, but their personality changes afterwards. So
yes,
you can have personality changes. You can become more impulsive. That's a really big thing. Your ability to inhibit your own actions kind of decreases, and a new sort of emerging area of research I think a lot of people don't know about is in domestic violence. Brain injury is a huge risk factor. So what we see in a lot of domestic violence cases is prevalence of strangulation. So something like 60 or 70% of women who have been in a relationship where they've experienced violence have been strangled, and they seldom report that to providers. What we know about strangulation is that it's one of the highest risk factors for brain injury, but it's also one of the highest risk factors for future homicide.
Now, are you saying as you're the person being strangled, or the person strangling?
The person being strangled
is going to get a brain injury from it. Is that because of the lack of oxygen type thing?
Yes, it's called a anoxic or hypoxic brain injury. It's caused by a lack of oxygen, and so what we think happens, just sort of anecdotally looking at it, I think a lot of people struggle to understand why a lot of victims of domestic violence stay in these relationships long term. Some of it may be because they are unable to make value judgments, like they're unable to make like these risk assessments, how much risk they're in because they have brain injuries.
So literally their judgment is impaired.
Yes.
To the same degree that maybe somebody would be intoxicated.
Yes.
And you said impulsive, right?
Yes.
There's a fine line, right? Because we also have something called decisive, right?
Yes.
And there's the thought, and then there's the action, and the shorter the distance between the two is the more impulsive. But also, we want people to be decisive. Now, I understand judgment can be a part of that, right? And you want to have good judgment and good practice and all of these things and making, wise decisions on the fly, because sometimes we have to just be water, my friends, and we have to adapt, adjust, and overcome, and Semper Gumby our way through it, right? But if you're making that decision and you have that thought, then there's the action. But in between there, your judgment is impaired to something that's not your fault. As in
absolutely.
This, you can make bad decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. And your executive functioning part of your brain, that decision-making part of your brain is one of the largest parts of your brain is that frontal lobe. It's
that prefrontal cortex, right?
Yeah.
And which, what they say, to 25 to 30s now is when it is fully developed?
Something like that. And we have some studies that say, it's probably like 22, 23, and some that say it's maybe closer to 30.
But just like all humans, we're all different. You may be a late bloomer.
Yeah, everybody's different. I think the important piece to that, though, is that because so much of our brain tissue is dedicated to executive functioning and decision making, that means there is more tissue that can be damaged
think about
in
that.
something like brain injury. And so, and a lot of individuals with brain injury, even mild injuries. So the really baffling thing about a lot of these injuries is that you can have a mild traumatic brain injury and get an MRI scan and nothing will pop up. It'll look like a normal, healthy brain. It's because of those micro tears that we talked about earlier. It's something that we can't detect on an MRI scanner.
So how can you detect it?
There are certain types of MRI scans that are coming out that are better equipped for detecting it. So there's this. I won't go super in depth, but there's this type of brain scan where it measures the water diffusion along your brain cells, and based on how the water diffuses, we can say, these cells are probably damaged because it's like diffusing out a ton.
Okay.
So there's emerging stuff like that, but I think the thing that we've really relied on is cognitive testing. So.
So you can see if there's somebody that said, I had this thing happen to me.
So
and
let's
you can
test
see
your
that
memory.
Cognitively, they're not doing the best that they should be able to function to.
Yeah.
You can say, there's a symptom that may have been the cause.
And what's really just so promising about this research is that, I think a lot of people maybe are under the assumption that if you injure your brain, you can never bounce back. The brain is so resilient.
Oh, y'all heard that? The brain is resilient.
The brain is resilient. And in science, we call that neuroplasticity. It's your ability your brain's ability to sort of rewire itself and adjust for problems. So, the great thing about that is that we have these really great treatments that can help you regain that functioning. You may not be the same as you were pre-injury, but we will, medicine will help you get back to a place where, you can function normally again.
Yeah.
And even 20, 30 years ago, it didn't look like that. But today we have so many techniques and medications and different interventions that can help.
But are you a mind reader with all of this neuroscience you do?
No.
So if you don't speak up and acknowledge that maybe there may be a problem, and please don't hear Doc Coop wrong, because I don't want anyone I believe in being a victor and not a victim. We go through things or we grow through things, right? Don't sit here and say, well, because, I have this injury, I'm going to automatically make bad decisions and automatically be depressed and automatically be anxious and things of that nature, and my cognitive function is not going to work. That's not what he's saying here. He's saying, and what I interpret is, we need to be aware of the things that we've been through and how much that can potentially affect and impact in a negative way our cognitive function, like our full potential. Because you said normally, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what the fuck that word means, because your normal is different from my normal. But what I interpret it as, and what you intended to say, or what you mean, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, is, can you perform your cognitive ability to a better amount of your full potential than you would have without these treatments, without acknowledging these things and that nature? Is that more so like the line?
Yeah, that's really fair. I think just like with anything else, I think that the most important part is to be aware of the risk, right?
Knowing is half the battle.
Yeah, exactly. Every time, I mean, you joke, but really, that's how it is.
And be willing to know, though.
Yeah, and every time you get in a car, you risk your life, right?
Yeah.
It may feel just, hey, I do this every day, like I'll be fine, but you really are increasing that risk. And just like getting into a car, if you have a brain injury, you have increased risk for different things, but that doesn't predestine you to be a certain way. It doesn't like determine your future.
Yeah, please, nobody's saying this fatalistic thinking,
No.
because I think we have some of that, and I think there are people in the world that maybe, I don't want to judge, but like, don't automatically assume because you come from something or you've been through something that automatically you're like you said, you're predestined to be in a bad place or whatever like that. But it is something to be mindful of. And I talked about the prefrontal cortex, and that's where our cognitive function comes from. Not our limbic, our lizard brain that just, I want cake now. Not that one, right? But the prefrontal cortex takes until you said, 22, 25, 30. Some people argue, whatever it is. We're all different. We're all as unique as this fingerprint right here, our QR code that nature gave us. But that has so much to do with preventing harmful behaviors in our cognitive function. And also the thing, and what I've learned, and please correct me if I'm wrong, people that go through adverse childhood experiences, that can hinder the development of your cognitive function.
Yeah, 100%.
So it's not just impact, it's actual situational trauma that you're in.
Yeah. So this isn't, ACEs related, but it'll just kind of demonstrate the underlying point. So there's some really interesting research that was done in flight attendants. So these career flight attendants, they were doing long haul international flights constantly, and they compared them to new flight attendants. And what they found was that the cognitive function and the actual brain tissue of the long haul flight attendants, the ones with long careers, had actually decreased over their career, and it wasn't just age related. They think that the stress of constantly, and when I say stress, I mean physiological stress. So when you're constantly changing time zones and your body feels like, oh hey, it's nighttime, but you look outside and it's daytime, that those effects build up over time. Okay. And so I think it's the same with mental health, right? Yeah. If I'm really struggling at work, or I'm really struggling with, a relationship breakup or something, and I just ignore it, those effects, just like it will to your brain, will build up over time. Yeah. And I think the most important part of prevention is the pre-part.
Staying ahead of shit. Proactive, not reactive. Sorry, I had to throw that out there because sometimes we mess that shit up a lot.
No, absolutely. And I think the reason I love talking about the brain is because it is so representative of who we can be. So I'll give another example. One thing I didn't expect about grad school and running these MRI scans was just how many brains we would find that were messed up that people didn't know about. Wow. So I scanned the brain of this, I think she was mid-40s, early 50s individual. She was fine. We did all the testing on her.
Oh, here we go. If you can see another video. Fine. Yeah. With air quotes.
We did all the testing on her. She was exactly where we would expect given her age and all that. And then we scanned her brain, and she had a baseball-sized chunk of brain missing. So what had happened was when she was a child, she had a cyst develop, and nobody knew because you're not scanning the brains of children very often. And so throughout her life, it had gotten bigger and bigger. And because it developed slowly over time, her brain was able to adapt, and she had no problems. I mean, she had zero idea that.
Talk about resilient. The brain had adapted, adjusted, and overcame.
Yeah, exactly. and it's the same. I saw the same in kids. So I scanned several kids where, again, like baseball-sized chunks of their brain. According to these brain scans, they should not have the ability to walk, and they did. And their brain adapted and adjusted and overcame that issue. And I think that's really representative of us as people too.
Yes.
I've had all kind of stuff happen in my family and in my life, and while it was incredibly painful to get through, I do think that it gave me like a passion and a compassion and a empathy to be able to help the people that I work with. I'm so passionate about suicide prevention because I lost my own grandfather to suicide when I was in high school. And he was a Air Force veteran, and the best explanation or sort of description. I'm gonna shout out a chaplain, Chaps Daniels. You know who you are.
I love you, Jay.
Yeah.
Love you, man.
I was really drawn to him because he described losing his father as losing his center of gravity.
Losing your center of gravity.
And I think that was the same for my grandfather. I looked up to him and respected him so much, but he had really bad chronic pain. And I think over the years I've just come to realize that like he wasn't, at the time of his death, he wasn't who I thought he was. He was struggling with a lot that I didn't know about. And anyway, putting myself back into who I was in high school and remembering that, I can just remember so distinctly what it was like to go through that. And that split second decision, that the best description I ever heard of suicide was it's like a bomb goes off in the lives of everybody who loves you, and those closest to you, when you die, those are the ones who are impacted the most, right? And it radiates out. And even those who maybe don't know you as well are still going to feel the effects of that death. I think he probably thought that he was taking burden off of us because he had trouble walking and all that, right? I think the thing I've come to realize about suicide is that I think a lot of people in that position, it's almost a selfless act in their eyes. Yeah. Right?
Like, and you're doing somebody a favor. You're not going to be a burden anymore.
Yeah, I'm not going to be a burden. But really what suicide does is it takes that pain that they're experiencing and then transfers it onto everybody who knew them and loved them.
Wow.
So
that's so heavy, man, because I know some really good people who have made that choice, and I know, and I'll say in their right minds and in their mind that is of best potential, would not have made that decision. But whether it's the injuries or whether it's the adverse childhood experiences or whether it's whatever, a cyst you never knew was there or whatever it was, like people have a lot of stuff. And on top of that, the stress and trauma and the just sadness of the world they're dealing with right now, to where they just want the pain to end. And they feel like through the pain that they live with, that they are that, whether it was the chronic pain physically or maybe the stress and burden, they put on people, or, the way they act or how they, engage with people, like they're hurt to their people that they love them. But you're saying the complete opposite. Oh yeah.
It's complete opposite. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. Terrible. Thanks for asking. The idea is, interviews with people whose answer to the question, how are you, is terrible. Thanks for asking.
Terrible. Thanks for asking. Man, that's real. Because how many of us just go, fine.
Yep, exactly. And so the host was interviewing this person who had really intense suicidal ideations from childhood, right? Like it was a lifelong struggle with mental health. And she said one of the reasons that she never really got close to attempting to die was because her mom made it very, very clear to her that when you're in the midst of it, it may feel like you're going to make things easier on me, but it would destroy me. And I think while maybe guilt tripping is not the best,
right? Because you still have to internally work out your own stuff, right?
Right. For somebody in that position, I think a lot of the time, man, we just don't tell people how much they mean to us and how much they matter to us. And when you're in the depths of that despair, like that's what you need the most. That's that lifeline that you need the most. And so,
God,
you know,
that's so deep.
through
Yeah,
and through all the loss that me and my family have been through, I think the thing that I will never do is not tell somebody how I feel. And
in the sense that, and what I just kind of had that moment was, I think gratitude is one hell of a drug, right? Rumi.
Absolutely.
Gratitude is wine for the soul. Go on, get drunk. But you think about Robin Williams and rest his soul. Everyone you meet is fighting a battle you know nothing about. So as the person that may be able to give gratitude, I may not know you may be thinking of that. And you may be acting like everything's fine. And you may be, as you described your grandfather, I didn't know what he was going through, putting on a face. But if we could just give someone that gratitude or that compliment or that I love you and you mean this much to me, maybe that's the thing that day that delays them and distracts them and inspires them not to make a permanent decision.
Oh, yeah.
Is that what you're...
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it doesn't even have to be, you know, hey man, I love you, right? Like one thing that I have been really intentional about is if somebody pops in my mind, I immediately text them and I'm like, hey, I'm thinking about you. I hope you're doing all right. And more often than not, that person is like, man, I really needed that. Like,
do you text in
really
all caps? Because that would be weird, right?
No.
Okay,
no.
Not at all caps.
It is
Don't
not
do it all
aggressive.
caps. That's not aggressive.
But like, man.
But it's real, though. It really is. It's real.
And life is too short not to tell people how you feel.
Yes.
And if you respect somebody, tell them.
Yes.
If somebody makes your day, tell them. You know, the thing that has really stuck out to me, reviewing the suicide cases I do.
He goes line by line, folks.
Yeah.
Line by line.
Yeah. So I got told this story. So this Marine, you know, he was working. It was a night shift, and he just noticed something was off, like in one of his peers.
So someone else that he was working with on that shift. Yeah,
like it didn't feel right to him, and he had been through Oscar team training. Shout out to Oscar.
Shout out Operational Stress Control and Readiness Training. If you don't know, now you know. Marine Corps Order 5351.1, and anybody can look that up. It can help anybody in any form of life, not just Marines and sailors, but everybody. Marine Corps Order 5351.1. Kill.
Yep. So the thing if you're not familiar, the thing that Oscar really is built on is this idea of peer support and just reaching out.
Yes.
And peer support is a fancy word for giving a shit.
Giving a shit about each other, having a good old give a foxtrot.
Yep. And so this person had been trained in Oscar and, you know, was a peer support, and he went over to this guy and was like, hey man, like, everything good? Like, what's going on? And you know, the guy just came unglued and was like, hey, like, I just lost one of my best friends to suicide and I'm really struggling. I'm thinking about it myself.
Oh,
like,
man,
and so, you know, this Marine brought him immediately over to the chaplain, and, you know, the chaplain talked with him for something like 4 or 5 hours, and, you know, they were able to get this guy help. And the chaplain came up to the Marine, the Oscar team member, afterwards and says, we just saved a life. And so I think about that all the time, because one conversation, you never know how much saying, like, hey man, good job, or like, hey, I'm thinking about you, like, I care about you, can mean to somebody. Because a lot of the times when you're in the depths of that, you're just looking for that lifeline. You're looking for that one reason why you shouldn't. And, you know, I'm not saying you got to go out and do that for everybody, but you know, be real, be the person that you needed when you were struggling with whatever you got going on.
Thank you for saying that, because so many people, right? I have so many friends, and I've been through it myself too. I try to look at the glass half full, but I've had shitty people I've served with. I've had some garbage ass people that it's not a matter of ignorance, it's a matter of arrogance as to why they suck and don't give a fuck about nobody but themselves and their own evaluations and their own next thing, right? I know people suffer through that. And you suffer through bad people. And I don't care where you work at, whether you serve in the armed forces, you work in this coffee shop, you work down the street at the Walmart neighborhood market, there are bad people and not so good people everywhere, and maybe some of them don't mean to be. They just don't know what they don't know. We don't know, right? I like to say what Brené Brown said, that her husband said, is like, I don't know if everyone's trying their best, but it helps me to think and assume they are, from going crazy for myself. So what I'm saying and what he just said, and I want everyone to hear this, and I'm taking a pause right here. If you've never had that leader, if you've never had that friend, if you've never had that father, that uncle, that sister, that aunt, that friend, be the person you needed for someone else. It reminds me of what Dr. Maya Angelou said when her son was having trouble finding friends. She said, be a friend first, and then you'll make a friend. So be the friend that you need, and then it will come. And that fucking sucks sometimes, and it takes time, and it's lonely, but be the person you needed. And if anything that we're good at nowadays with all this social media and all of this, you know, everything being so stimulating and dopamine giving of seeing so much film and so much videos and clips, we're really good at seeing and hunting out and seeing off the bat when somebody's disingenuine and when somebody's being fake. So be real, be genuine, and give a fuck about each other, because we have to take care of each other. And yeah, I'm kind of sound biting it, but it's like it or not, we're all we got. So why not try to learn skills to better be there for others? And I get it, some people weren't there for you and they suck. Well, be the leader that you needed to somebody else. I want to make sure people know that, because to me it boils down, and you hear me quote all the time, Mother Teresa, what can you do to promote world peace? Go home and love your family.
Yeah.
What can you do to prevent all these harmful behaviors and death by suicide and domestic violence and all these things? Go and love the people you serve with on a day-to-day. Not the whole shit. You can't fix the whole shit. And nor is one thing of policy going to come down and fix all this. We have to take care of our sphere of influence. Stoicism 101, and take care of those around us and be who we needed. And sometimes we'll fall short.
Yeah. And you know, I think suicide, mental health, like, is such a massive problem that I think a lot of the time people just feel like, oh man, there ain't nothing I can do. But the thing you can do is just give a shit and
Yes.
be there for others and be a friend and be a mentor, and those things add up over time.
But Coop, you saying baby people? You saying coddle people? What you saying?
I ain't saying any of that. You do what you got to do. And you know, I understand that leaders and everybody needs to address, you know, bad behavior and slacking off and all that. I ain't talking about that. I'm talking about, hey, if somebody is going through a breakup, like, check in on them.
Yes.
Like, be like, hey, I care about you.
That's right.
And I think those little things, we never really know how much they add up. Dr. Angelou also said, you know, people may not remember exactly what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel.
Amen.
And
Amen.
that's how I try and live my life. Is I never want somebody to feel that, you know, I made them feel less than or made them feel unsupported or anything like that. If anything, I want their one impression of me to be that I supported them.
Oh, so you're trying to be a people pleaser? Is that what it is, Coop? You're trying to kiss everybody's ass, huh?
No.
You want to have a good impact on people.
I'm
being devil's advocate because I know somebody listening like, oh, good for you, fluffy talk.
Yep.
Oh, happy talk, right?
No, I want to be the type of person that they can look back on and be like, hey, when I was going through that shit, he like, you know, took the time to talk with me and make sure I was doing okay.
But like, also still held me accountable.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, you suck at your job too.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm here for you, right? Like, there's a time and a place, right?
Well, man, so one of my favorite stories I love to tell during grad school, which is just, you know, idiotic on my part, but I was running the MRI machine, and if you don't know, an MRI machine is like $5 million. It is a very expensive piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And I'm putting somebody in a scanner, and I drop a piece of equipment that's like $50,000, right? And break it, and it was a whole thing. I was having a panic attack. I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get kicked out of grad school. And I'll never forget, my advisor like pulled me aside and he's like, look, you did some stupid shit. You shouldn't have done it the way you did, but you know, you're not going to get kicked out. We're going to fix it. And we're going to put some protocols in place and some training in place so future people don't also make this mistake.
Hell yeah.
And to this day, that piece of equipment still is glued together.
Hell yeah, man.
And has my mark on it, but
he made an impact, y'all.
I made an impact. So I think the moral of the story is, you know, the decisions that the institutions that we're a part of are made up of small decisions by individuals that happen over time, and
day by day, moment by moment.
Day by day. The United States Navy would not be where it is today without all of the countless sailors that saved over the past 300 years.
And they probably didn't save all of them. And there were probably some bad leaders all along the way. And some people had some bad experiences too.
Probably some real assholes.
But are you part of the problem or are you part of the solution? And that's what I try to tell people. Yep. And I love what you said about kind of the grace you were showing, right? Because we have to allow people to make mistakes. Like, if you don't allow babies to fall when they're trying to learn how to walk, they're never going to learn how to walk. It's part of the process, right? Like, you have to learn how to stumble. However, unethical, immoral, malicious, evil, you want to hurt somebody's shit? Fuck no, I ain't got no time for that shit. I ain't got no time for that shit. But if you make mistakes, like you drop a piece of gear or you didn't use the best judgment in something and you're learning, we can't crucify you for that because of that one thing. What would that do to you?
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot.
Do it.
What's the, looking back to, like Lance Corporal days, like what was the most impactful leader you had?
Mark Whitehurst. 100% Mark Whitehurst. I love you, Mark. He was my gunny when I was a young corporal, and we happened to be from the same area in Tidewater, the 757, shout out, 7s with a 5 in the middle. He pulled me aside and he saw me stressed out, and he saw like I was trying so hard, just try hard, like literally try hard, corny, young, didn't know. And he said, man, you need to focus. Let me tell you something. And he brought me into stoicism and faith at the same time. He sent me to church and stuff too. And it would help me out a whole lot with understanding that. But it was more like a leadership thing in this respect. It was your circle of control and your circle of concern. He said, what are the things that you are concerned with? Great. Don't let those concerns, let's say the news, let's say that it's election year, all these things control you and vice versa. And I'll give you many of examples, but over the years, he has been a consummate, consistent, just loving and patient and graceful individual with me. Even when I made decisions to go to the dark side or different things, times I was about to get divorced a few times. Just a lot of things, man. Mark Whitehurst. I can go on and on. Sorry.
And did he have to do any of that?
Fuck no. No. He could have just got his fit rep and clicked his bullets or checked his little bullet boxes, and he would have been fine and got his pension.
And that conversation, that initial conversation that I just saw the look on your face, still has an impact on you.
Still.
Probably took, 15 minutes?
If that, yeah.
Yeah. The littlest amount of time can stick with somebody the rest of their career.
Yeah, for sure.
I've got leaders who've taken me aside and just general good people and did the same for me. And so my point there is, even the littlest thing, like taking somebody aside and being a human being and saying, hey, like, let's work on you. Let's get you to a point where you're okay. I think those small decisions can have just monumental impacts.
Amen. And the thing is too, and I want people to understand, it's moment by moment. It's comment by comment. Absolutely. On social media. It's text by text. It's all these little things, man, they fucking add up, and you don't know what the fuck other people are going through. You don't know what the fuck if somebody's on the breaking point and you're over here fucking feeling all self-righteous to make a fucking comment or say something rude or act like everything revolves around you, and maybe you're in an impaired state. Maybe you could acknowledge it, get yourself better, and then you'll be better to those around you. But in that moment, you may have just pushed somebody over the fucking edge. And I'm not trying to victim blame or shame or anything like that, because I've been guilty and fall short on these subjects so many times in my life. But man, the effect you have on others.
Well, and I think one of the most interesting arguments I've ever heard about this whole issue of suicide and mental health was in the book Tribe. Have you read?
Yes,
Tribe?
Sebastian Younger. That is, man, that's so good.
Yeah.
It's short, too.
Yeah, it is.
So my ass read it.
Excellent read. Highly recommend it.
Tribe, Sebastian Younger.
One of the arguments he makes is that, the issues that we're facing as a society with suicide and mental health is not a issue of, actual disorders. It's a lack of connectedness, and it's a lack of a tribe.
Lack of a tribe. We got more people than ever in the world before. What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't stop thinking about it, because I do think, in certain cases, sure, there's other stuff that goes into it, but if Cam and I review all these cases, and all these deaths. And if I had to boil them down, I would say it's probably lack of connectedness.
The through line through most of it, a majority of it, yes, there is relationships. I mean, again, I talk about lethal means, we talk about alcohol and substances and things like that, but I think 100% relationships falling apart or being bad or not feeling connected or childhood trauma, or that doesn't mean a causation. Like, you have bad relationships, automatically it's going to cause you. But man, I'm going to tell you right now, if there's a running theme, it's a lack of connectedness, a lack of social wellness, of social health, right?
Well, and when I think back on my own life, the tough times for my mental health, it was big transitions where I lost my social connectedness. So when I got to grad school in Utah, I'd never been to Utah before. I didn't know anything about the Mormon Church when I got out there. I moved, 2,000 miles from Louisiana to Utah, and the further I drove away, the more I realized, oh man, like, I am on my own out here, and not having those people close by that I could just call up and be like, hey, can we grab a coffee? I just need to chat. Not having that out there was really difficult. The same thing, in college. I went from a really tight-knit, small high school to, a larger university, and didn't have that lack of connectedness. And the Marines I talked to, the ones that say, oh, I got to 29 Palms, I got to Yuma, I got to Okinawa, and really struggled with my mental health and thought about suicide. And the thing that runs through those people are still alive. And the reason I think they're still here is because they found their connectedness in some way.
Yes.
And
you got to find your tribe and let your weird freak flag fly, everybody, whatever you want to call it. Like, be you. I mean, no be unethical or immoral, right? But be you. And like, how would you advise or give suggestions to people to finding their tribe?
I think there's a lot of ways that we can do it. I think that, some people, it's really person to person dependent.
Yeah.
Because, for me, I think a lot of my connectedness revolves around just people with similar backgrounds and experience. So, I tried to find, hey, like, other people in my psychology department that I could connect with. I've really gotten involved with my church community, and having that shared connection was really important to me. But for others, it might be, hey, like, I'm really into Dungeons and Dragons and I want to find a group to play with.
Yeah.
Like, that's a really great way. Finding, oh, hey, there's this shooting club on Quantico, like, with other people who are really into skeet shooting. Like,
shout out your mom's house, try it out.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's finding that common ground, and it's going to look different for everybody. But
yes.
I think the most important thing, and unless the shit is weird, like don't go to a furry convention.
If you're not into that.
Yeah.
If that's not your thing, but if it is and it's healthy, do your thing, bro.
Right. But,
ma'am, whatever.
But generally, try anything once.
Just try.
Just
that's
try
a big thing, is being open-minded to be exposed to different things, and you just never know, man. Like, one thing for our veterans or anyone connected to the service in any way, Armed Services Arts Partnership, ASAP, man, you could do like writing classes with them.
Yeah.
You could do stand-up classes. You could do improv classes, all of these things. But the coolest thing about it was when I went through it, ASAP, a few weeks ago, is the connectedness, man. Like, I've met some cool ass people. Yes, I got some stage time. I worked on how to like write a joke and rule of three and all this kind of stuff I didn't know. But the coolest part was being connected with other people who had a shared goal, something that had similar interests. We were all interested in comedy, and we came together. And some people were like, how do we do this? It was a virtual class too. I was like, how the fuck is this going to work virtually? Like, I want to be like we are right now in person.
Yeah.
But like, I tried it, and man, I'm literally I'm being helped through a situation I'm going through right now, and I hope I'm being a help to somebody else that's going through something right now that I met there in that class that met once a week for 90 minutes on Zoom, right? There's I learned from yesterday, John K, man, good dude we work with, serve with, Fallen Outdoors, Veterans Outdoors Group, right? Episode 44. I mean, Becca listed off so many options from hiking to whatever, and her and Donnie Brasco on the episode talked about flag football and playing poker.
Yeah. I mean, I started playing disc golf in college because I just wanted something new. And
try something new.
I sucked, but it was so much fun.
And are you going to spar against Jake Paul or Tyson or Floyd Mayweather now that you're into boxing?
Jake Paul, yeah, I could take him any day, untrained.
Yeah, there we go.
But
on the real though, like now, You may not be the best at the shit,
right?
But it's still an outlet. It's still something to community for you, right?
Right, and I think the thing that held me back for so long was like I didn't want people to think, oh, like here's this new guy, like oh, here's this fat guy trying to join a boxing ring, like. People don't care.
No,
they're just happy you're there.
Yeah,
99% of the time, they're just happy you're there.
It's true.
And they're happy that you're into the same thing they're into.
It's true.
Because what's the one thing nerds do? They join a group.
And nerd out together, though.
They nerd out together. They have conventions.
We have some conventions.
They have conventions, man. And like people like dress up in freaking like Halo cosplay costumes, right?
It is good.
And like
but it's connectedness.
It's that connectedness and just trying things out. If you try it out, just like with the food, if you try it out, you don't like it, you don't have to try it again.
No, you don't.
But you never know what you might find.
And what you might just like, man. And that's I think so many of us are set in our ways and we're like, I don't do that. That's not a me thing. Or I don't do that shit. Like, dude, I'm telling you right now, you are holding yourself back from living your best potential, from extracting the full potential out of your life. Just try new things, get connected with people. Be a good dude, be a good person, be a good human, be a decent, kind. It's free to be kind, right?
Yeah.
Like I think I heard The Rock say it one time. He said, it's nice to be important, but the most important thing is to be nice. Like that, and I mean, have your own judgments on people, but I think that's so important. And here's another thing too, and I heard it from Theo Vaughn. I'm sure somebody else said it, but nothing changes if nothing changes. Yeah. And all those studies you did, controlled or whatever, like no variables change, no outcome change. Like nothing changes if not. And that's the same with us. We're running like a science experiment on ourselves every day. So, big thing is, man, reach out and try new stuff, but also to the point before, man. And I'll quote Kanye, and everybody says he's crazy. Well, tell me what normal is, and tell me what not crazy is, because I'm not judging him, right? He's got his own journey. But one thing he said in the song Big Brother, and I tell this to my big brother, if you admire someone, you should go ahead and tell them, because people never get the roses while they can still smell them. And that is so important, because gratitude is one hell of a drug, y'all.
Yeah, and I think if I could leave one thing, I would say that the work you have to do to be okay is not going to be comfortable.
Fuck no.
It's not going to be comfortable. People don't realize, like, therapy sucks. Like, you have to rip open that wound and
take physical therapy after an injury.
Yeah, you have to rip open that wound, that psychological wound, rip out your heart, show it to your therapist, put it back, sew it back up, and come back the next week. Like,
but be consistent.
But you have to be consistent.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest realizations I had with my own journey with my depression. So there's this show, BoJack Horseman. I don't know if you've seen it on Netflix. Yeah.
Animation, right?
Yeah, it's one of the best depictions of mental health that I've ever seen. And there's this episode where it's in one of the later seasons, but it's like about the main character BoJack, his internal monologue, and it's the episode's called "Piece of Shit," and the entire episode is like, "You stupid piece of shit," like, and him talking to himself that way. And I identified with that so much because I had been there too.
Yeah.
But watching that show, what I realized was that I had gotten comfortable being depressed. Being depressed was like putting on a warm blanket, and it was what I was used to. And even though it sucked,
it was your normal.
It was my normal.
Yeah.
And so I came to the realization that if I wanted to be the person that my friends, my family, my wife deserved, that I would have to get uncomfortable and take off that wet blanket and talk to a therapist and get on medication and do all the hard work it takes. Just like anything worth doing in life, it is not going to be easy.
Right.
Like getting in shape is not going to be easy. Making a big life change is not going to be easy. But if you put in the work day after day, you have people hold you accountable.
Yes.
And check in on you and support you through that, then you're going to be successful.
Yeah.
Like,
and don't measure in days or months.
No,
right?
Man.
Like Alice Hermosa said earlier, sometimes it's in decades, bro.
Yeah.
Like, and you can see the growth in the, 5 years, no alcohol, right?
I mean,
I didn't see it in 5 months, the results, but 5 years, I can kind of see it something. I'm not trying to do a self-humble brag, but I'm saying that things add up over time.
Yeah, and there's a reason that AA never really stops. Like
And,
it's not
I
like
get
you
that.
hit the 3-year mark and then they're like, oh,
all right, cool.
you're
Here's your
good.
certificate.
No,
and
it's
see you later.
it's a lifelong journey, and you have you and I know people call it a journey, and probably some people out there are just rolling their eyes. Oh, like, my depression's a journey, but
the wheel in the sky keeps on. Sorry.
when you get to a space where you can look at yourself objectively, look at your mental health objectively, and understand what it's not just done to you, but your relationships, your job, the people around you, your family, your friends, your kids, your wife. Like, when you look at that, see those effects, that is what's going to spur you to make that change.
Yes.
That's what it did for me.
To be a better version of you for them.
I wanted to be the man that my wife deserved, and that was the thing that got me to really focus hard on myself. And I knew that I could not love her like she deserved until I loved myself.
That's true.
And liking myself is still a daily struggle. I still
Because you got
doubt
Bojack
myself.
in your head talking about this shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Shit.
I got Bojack in my head. but realizing that's happening and then working on that has been probably the biggest success that's gotten me to where I am.
So you got it all figured out, huh?
I wouldn't say I've got it all figured out, but I'm in a place where I can grow. I can continue to work on it. I'll probably be on medication till the day I die.
And same fucking here, if y'all didn't notice already, with me.
I would rather take a pill and talk to a therapist and work on myself day in and day out than have my wife responsible for taking care of me, because she doesn't deserve that. She deserves me at my best.
I put my wife through that. It's probably still, and people I love do that so much in my life. And they say hurt people. Got it, right? And don't measure your hurt, because comparison's the thief of joy, and it's also the thief of healing. But healed people can help people. And I've said it before on here, but maybe you didn't hear it. But look at superheroes. They all have the backstories of, but you could be the villain and say, I'm going to make the world hurt like it made me hurt. Or you could be the hero, the superhero, and say, I'm going to make sure nobody else hurts like this, or I don't hurt others like this as well, right?
And just talk about it, man. Like, the biggest thing I saw when I was traveling, talking with guys, was like they were just so scared of what the help-seeking process and like reaching out for help would look like. Yeah, like they didn't know. Facts. Like, hey, what is this medication going to do to me? Is it going to change my personality? Is it going to hey, what is therapy going to do? Are they going to share that information with somebody? Or are they going to make me talk about my childhood or my mom or whatever? Like, I think just talking about it and being open. We're in a society now where, it's okay. I mean, I'm of the opinion it's always been okay, but it's more okay now than ever to talk about your own journey. And the thing Marines told me over and over again was, you always hear stories about the guys who kill themselves, or the guys who have mental health problems that they get kicked out, but you never hear those stories about the people who struggled, got through it, and are still successful.
Thank you for saying that. And that's one of the main reasons for having this platform, this show, was to show the other side of the story. Yeah. Somebody like you who sought help, you got on medication, seeks therapy, helps others, and you're still here to live to tell about it and how much you grew. You're not perfect, but he's not worse than he was before, ladies and gentlemen. He's not worse off. And that's the filter we have to do. Stop fucking seeking perfection. It's killing us. There's nothing perfect. But is it going to make anything worse? No? Okay, fuck it. I'll try it.
Yeah. Yeah, and you just have to be willing to be vulnerable about your own experience. One thing that's really struck me as I've gotten older is finding out just how many of my friends have struggled with infertility. I mean, I would hazard a guess every couple I know almost has had some infertility issues, and they trusted us enough to open up about that, but they feel like they're the only ones, and we're over here realizing we know dozens of people who have had the same problem, and it's the same with mental health.
Same.
I guarantee you at least a handful, if not more, of your peers or colleagues are going to be either have gone through the same stuff that you're going through, or similar, or they've gotten through it, or they're currently going through it. And going back to what we were talking about before, that connectedness, that tribe, you build that by being open and being vulnerable. And sometimes you're going to get burned, man. Sometimes somebody's going to be an asshole and be why are you talking about your mental health?
That's it.
But
fuck them.
But
sorry.
Yeah. You never know who you're going to help by talking about your problems.
because somebody else is going through the same thing, and right, like you know what I just thought about? I had this like little epiphany. Thank God for granting me this moment of clarity. Shout out Jay-Z. Was you imagine being the first person that was like, "Yo, headaches," like. Now somebody's like, I gotta take a Tylenol or an aspirin or a Goodies powder, right? You shouldn't snort that, but you could take it, right? And now we just be like, okay, go ahead and take it. I hope that we can normalize this conversation to the point to where that's Lexapro, that's Prozac, that's these things.
Absolutely.
Because it's no different. Like you have a headache. But you know, probably for centuries with humans and how proud we are and how I'm gonna be old strong, right? Motherfuckers was probably walking around with the baddest headaches for years, and then they were like, hold up, you got that feeling too? We should call it something. Let's call it a tension headache. Let's call it a cluster headache. Let's call it a migraine. But probably didn't say shit about it because, you know, that was weak. Oh, your head hurts? That means your brain hurts. That means you are not all together. You know what I'm saying? To me, it's the same, and I don't judge anybody if they say, I got to take a Tylenol or you got an aspirin. No. Like, I'm not saying you could hit people up for the Prozac or anything, but you get my point, folks, is to normalize it to that point, man, and we got to be better at sharing it. And the thing is about sharing it is you don't know who else is going through it and how much you may have just helped them, because it's like, damn, if this doctor PhD is going through it and has suffered death by suicide in his family, who the fuck else has? Like, this shit does not discriminate against all social classes, genders, races, religions, faith, you name it. It does not discriminate, and we all get impacted and impacted in a negative way in regard when it comes to mental health and the death by suicide and the effect that it can have in a negative way. On that subject, on that note, man, I know we're getting close to the time. Don't feel rushed by anything. I'm loving this and I'm appreciating you being here, but I do want to ask.
I'm going to be back. Don't worry.
And I love it. I do. Because you have so much knowledge and you can heal I felt the passion ooze out of you when you started talking about the hows of what you were doing and how you're reaching people and the conversations you're having with these people and trying to get this data and this information that they're willing to share that maybe gets us to a better answer of what we're doing. Because nothing changes if nothing changes. But I do want to ask you, if someone out there listening right now is contemplating taking their life or hurting someone else, right? Because that's a real thing too. Making a permanent decision over temporary circumstances, which everything is temporary. This too shall pass for all of us. We are but a speck of dust on the human timeline of the history of the world and the universe, right? They're thinking about making a permanent choice and they want to kill themselves. They want to take their own life. They want to die by suicide. What would you say to that person right now?
You know, I think I would just tell them, I mean, it is a cliche just saying reach out, but when I say reach out, I mean somebody who's at that point probably feels like they've tried everything else.
Facts. Like
they've tried to deal with the problem every which way they know how, and this is the last thing, their last resort. I would challenge you, or you know, if you know that person, to tell them, like, just try one more time. Try one more time. And come at it with a point of view that it's going to suck, it's going to be uncomfortable, but try one more time. I think.
What if they don't answer the person I called?
Then be annoying as shit
and call somebody else.
Or
988.
I think be the person that has helped you in the past is what I would say. Everybody's got that one mentor, leader, pastor, priest, whoever, who they still think about, who made this really monumental impact. Think about what that person did for you. Was it that they, you know, provided you with something tangible? No. It was that they probably took you aside, they talked to you like a person, and they invested time and energy because they cared about you. And so I would say, give a shit about your fellow person. Give the shit about that person struggling, because so many people I talked to in my travels, they said all the problems in the armed services, you know, with mental health and suicide really boil down to giving a shit about the person to the left and right of you. And if everybody gave a shit, we wouldn't be sitting here talking about this. Yeah. And so talk about that connection. But I think encouraging them to reach out one more time.
One more time, y'all. Give us
just try it one more time.
Man, I heard the 4-star general, the boss, the comment on the Marine Corps say, give us a chance. Give us a chance, Marines. That's what I mean. That sounds like so. Like people go, oh, easy for a 4-star to say that. No, that's genuine right there, man. I like, and I'm not trying to be a yes man and you know, sweat the higher ups and all that kind of stuff. But I'm saying, like, give us. I'm quoting it because it was genuine, it was real, and it's the same for anybody. Give us a chance. Give other people a chance to help you one more time, just one more time. And like was said on the last 2 episodes, I think, by Mark and by Brad, was wait. Give people a chance to be able to help you, because people do want to help, but all your neuroscience and neuroplasticity and all these words, guess what? He's not, folks. He ain't a fucking mind reader.
I mean, also think about how you would buy a car or a house, right? When you have a big decision, you wait, you think about it, you give it time. And I think it's the same with something like this. Wait, give it time. I know whatever you're going through sucks right now. I know it. I've been there myself. But
yes.
when you make that decision, that's your one decision. That's your one shot. You don't get another shot.
That's facts, man. I don't think we realize sometimes the gravity of that, because we are in that altered state of thinking because of the stresses messing up our cognitive ability or all the other factors that you listed. And, you know, I've said this in that poem before. I said it to y'all earlier. You know, be careful what you use to take the edge off. It may just lead to you literally taking your own head off. Yep. And here's the thing about death by suicide, and I say this in this poem as well. Your pain ends, but now everyone else's begins. Everyone else's pain begins. And like you said, it's like a bomb that goes off. So, again, not trying to guilt trip you, but if you're thinking in any way that you're going to do people a favor or you're going to better society by not being around, please rethink that, because I just told you otherwise. And we've talked to survivors of, you know, coping with a loss of suicide. It doesn't make them feel better. It doesn't. I've had friends, and I'm tired of losing people. And I want to quote a great man I know, Colonel Spot Brandon. He said, "We'll never be perfect on this subject, but we can damn sure be better." Yep. So be the light. You know, be the light out there, man. And what is to give light must endure burning, and life's not perfect, but staying around is worth it. But I want to quote, too, Sergeant Major David Wilson. I heard him speak in person once, and he emphasized the fact that leaders lead, and we as leaders are to be pathfinders and torchbearers. Torchbearers. We have to carry the light. So leadership has no rank, so that's not just the higher-ups or anything like that, but be the leader that you needed. Be the leader that you needed, and be a torchbearer. Be that light that you needed. And it sounds corny, and it sounds cliche, but, man, we got to be better at this, and we got to take care of each other. And I do feel like if there's any one way of preventing a form of death, so suicide is at the top of the list. It's a preventable way of death, and I'm tired of losing people. We may never be perfect, but I think we can damn sure be better, and it starts with us being real and being there for each other. And, man, if you need help, reach out, man. There are resources. I'm going to plug some in the show notes. All these shows have resources in them, because I'm trying to be part of the solution instead of being part of the problem. But I ask you, too. Are you part of the problem, or are you part of the solution on these subjects? You know what I'm saying? Are you being the person that you needed, or are you not? You know, hurt people. Are you somebody that needs to assess and own it, and own your shit, and address it, and fix yourself before you make a permanent decision over temporary circumstances? And I'm not trying to throw shade or throw stones or any of that. I've been there, and it felt like a good decision. And I can't even believe I thought like that, because I didn't know that a few years later I'd meet this little girl that's my daughter, right? And she would have never existed if I'd have done what I thought was such a good idea. And if I had more lethal means, I wouldn't be here right now. But instead, all I had was a belt, and I survived, and I'm good. And nobody even knew about it until I'm telling about it. You know what I'm saying? So don't make a permanent choice over temporary circumstances. I'm sorry for going on a rant. If there's one thing we could say that maybe stop somebody and says, I should wait, I shouldn't do this shit, then it was worth being said. Yeah,
you never get a second chance if you choose that way out. Like you can't take that back. That's a decision you cannot take back. And so be damn sure that that's the one you want to make when you make it, because you don't get another shot. And not only that, you leave behind a lot of people who also have to deal with the aftermath of that decision.
Man, and it's so ugly. And we know grief brings out the best in some people. It brings out the worst in some people, and it just destroys. And then that generational trauma is passed on. Come on, let's be a chain breaker. Let's break it. Let's break the bullshit. Let's deal with our shit so we don't pass it on to those. And it's those moment-by-moment interactions. So, look, man, nobody's saying be perfect, but I am saying nothing changes if nothing changes. And if you don't like something, change it. And if you can't change it, change your attitude about it and try something new. Dr. Maya Angelou said that. We quoted her 3 times on this. How about that?
Hell yeah.
Is there anything in closing that you'd like to say to anybody out there, man?
No, I think if I could boil it down, I would say that if it feels like the right decision, and if it feels like people are going to be better off, they're not. And I can say that because I lived it. Not just through my grandfather, but through some others that I've lost. And there's this really great video, if you look it up, The Blacklist, this network TV show. Just Google or YouTube The Blacklist suicide. And James Spader has this really great explanation of, how a suicide is like a suicide bomber. And if you look at the suicide bombers in the Middle East, the ones closest to that explosion are the ones who are affected the most, but it radiates out throughout, everybody who was there. And it's the same with suicide. It will have long-lasting impacts that you could never imagine. But in that moment, it might feel like it's the best.
Yeah.
If I could say one thing, let somebody know how you feel.
Yes.
And, if you've tried, I understand it. It's hard. It sucks. But try one more time.
Try one more time. Give people another chance. And this applies to all of us. We may have referenced a lot of DOD stuff, a lot of military, a lot of academia and things of that nature, but that's the background. That's what we know. And you only know what you know, and we only know what we know, and we don't know what we don't know. So, but this subject of resilience, of keep moving forward, of keep moving on, as Sam Cooke said, it applies to all of us as human beings, and it's the only way our ancestors have brought us to this point through some tragic times. So, look, man, be careful with who you call friend. Be careful with your tribe. Be thoughtful of your tribe. Be connected to your tribe, and let's take care of each other. And if we can reach one person with today of talking about this, I feel reached just by the insight you've shown, man, and I appreciate you as a friend, as a brother. I love you, man. I really do.
Love you too, brother.
And I really appreciate your passion for and willingness to be vulnerable, to share yourself, and to dedicate yourself, your work, your service, your own sanity sometimes, let's be honest, to the betterment of others.
Yep.
You are a light in this world, my friend, and I just say please keep on shining. And it's kind of poetic, too, behind us, right? Thank you to the Grounds Coffee House for not kicking us out yet, because I said some bad words in here. But my religion is put up right behind us like Ziggy Marley. Love is my religion. All right, sorry. But yeah, I love you, man, and I thank you.
Love you too,
seriously,
brother.
Man.
Thank you.
Hey, look, shout out to Overwatch Project. I got this bracelet right here. Look, hey, if you're going through some shit, you need some help, hey, just fucking ask.
Hey, I also want to plug this really great organization that I volunteer for, Patrol Base Abbate. They are a organization that tries to connect veterans and service members with other veterans and service members, no matter whether or not you were infantry, you were food service, you were whatever. It provides a connection.
I put the OG in Pogue, by the way.
Right. So it's a foundation, Patrol Base Abbate.
How you spell that? Patrol Base?
Yeah, Patrol Base, Abbate.
Okay, so Alpha, Bravo, Bravo, Alpha, Tango, Tango,
Yep.
Echo?
Yes.
All right.
It's a foundation started by a Marines family who was lost in OEF, OIF, and anyway, they have like this whole ranch in Montana that they will sponsor people, fully funded. You don't have to pay a thing. You just go out, you go fishing, you go horseback riding, whatever you're into, they're into. There's great service organizations out there like that whose entire purpose is to help service members and veterans, and they're people like me who just get into this because they're passionate about it. So shout out to PB Abbate.
PB Abbate, Patrol Base Abbate, and that's Alpha, Bravo, Bravo, Alpha, Tango, Tango, Echo. That was a phonetic alphabet. Google the shit if you didn't understand what I said, but ABBATTE. Google that shit, and maybe it's not for you that you just heard this, but maybe you can share it with somebody else who may need to know of that right now, and that may be the saving grace in their life to put them on a different path, to maybe delay, distract, and give them tools to keep moving forward. Hey, y'all, this has been the Real Resilience Talk podcast. This is episode 47. We getting up there, man. Shit. Man, AI is going to fucking totally clone me, and I'm gonna get canceled. If not from my own mouth, they'll put some shit in my mouth.
Ain't no AI could ever clone you.
That's right. Don't claim me. You can't do this. You can't get me at AI. You can't get me. Allen Iverson can get me, but not AI. You know what? I miss the times when AI meant Allen Iverson. I stole that from a meme, but it's the truth. I love you, AI. Love you, Tidewater. Love you, VA. Much love to all of y'all. Here we go. Sounds of Monchichi Rex. Oh yeah. That is Second Winds by Monchichi Rex. Check that man out. He's got some good music. I love you, brother. Appreciate y'all. Thank you again, Coop.
Thank
Coop
you, brother.
bad oop. Coop bad oop. Coop bad oop. Bad oop. Bad oop. Y'all know the song. Y'all know the song. I ain't trying to get sued by Salt and Pepper, so I'm not going to say the reference, but you get it. Love you, man. I appreciate you. Hey, be the light somebody else needs, man. Be a light in this world. Keep moving forward, man. Make good choices. This too shall pass. And we are sponsored by Nobody, baby. Oh, shit. I need to get my ass to work.